And then if you wish to speak, you'll each have 5 minutes. 3 minutes, I'm sorry. That's more than
And Charles Morgan, and I'd like to express put on the next agenda environmental issue in this county. That's the lost tax, and that's the delegation because federal is voted down to the states because I need to discuss this. So nobody runs on my house till 1880 out here. So let's get this on the agenda. Let's talk about these environmental issues that we need to address in this county.
Will you bring that information to me?
Bring your list of what we need to do.
What information that you have
Yeah, I have a
that
lot of
we
information.
discussed?
Including House Bill 1880.
What number?
House Bill 1880. It's passed.
That's the one we've been talking about for a while.
I want to talk about that bill and implementation of that bill, but it's not being implemented. And so we need to look at that bill and see what it says. That's not government. So, 2 years ago, but nobody's acting on it. So we need to act on that. But it includes the noise issue and other issues in the state of Texas. So we need to implement that bill. It's not the government. The noise issue, the Attorney General says people can do whatever they want to with noise, however much they want. That's crazy. So we need to discuss this kind of stuff that we need to correct and we need to implement in this county.
Anyone else that would like to speak? Not for item number 1, which is to approve the minutes of July 3rd and the July 10th meetings.
Vote to approve the minutes of July 3rd, July 10th.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Item number 2 is budget transfers and amendments. On the sheet.
Motion to approve the budget first as amended.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed, none, motion carries. Item number 3 is to approve and pay the bills. We are replacing the old ones. And we're going to the LEDs, so that's
We
cost.
weren't receiving our invoices, Judge Grant, that's
Yeah,
why.
that's something, remember we put them on the vendors list
Yeah.
about probably 4 months ago?
Yeah.
And then there was,
Email with the invoices that we weren't getting.
Agent report. Meetings. District clerk for the month of June. County clerk for the month of June. JP3 receipts for the month of June. And a report from the tax office for collections from July the 1st of 23 through June the 30th of 24. Senior services for June. Are there any other reports? IT report for June. All of these reports will be with the county clerk. If you would like to review any of them, we have a motion to accept those.
I'll make that motion. Second.
All in favor, aye. Item number 6, burn ban.
No action.
Item number 7, road use agreements. Anybody have one? No action. Item number 8, approve bonds and education certificates. Cybersecurity awareness training for Shana Ward, J.C. Jones, Alex Welch. Anything else? Not, do we have a motion to accept these?
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None, motion carries. Item number 9 is to award bids for the Freestone County Judicial County Management Software.
On top, you'll find a scorecard. The part of the process was each department was involved in the selection. Everybody is actually in agreement. The county clerk, district clerk, DA's office, and district court. So we basically went out to bid with 3 different vendors, with net data, which we're currently using, but they wanted, give them the opportunity, as well as we went to iDocket and to LGS, which is Hill Country. LGS and iDocket were really the only ones that came back with bids within the timeline. Initially, there was some concern that LGS wasn't going to meet the needs of our district court clerk. Or LGS would meet the needs of district court, but I adopted was not. County clerk was what I adopted, LGS was for the district. Got to resolve on that. The one concern that Renee addressed was around mix.
Yeah, they didn't know what NICS is, but NICS can be reported through CGIS, on those CGIS
So-
website, so that solved that problem.
Right, so then Renee became okay with LGS outside that I adopted. So at the end of the day, between the two, I adopted what to support the district court clerk the way they needed to be supported as far as information. And so that kind of threw them out of the bucket a little bit. So LGS kind of raised to the top after that. And everybody's in agreement. There's a sheet on top behind that evaluation sheet. I'd asked them to put together a summary, just kind of black and white for, because there's a lot of buried costs within the agreement that, you know, it's all justified, but I wanted on one cut sheet for you guys to get a good clear picture of what's going on. So we've got there's one-time cost, which is at the bottom, and then there's a monthly cost, which is what we're looking at the top there. This is based on a total of 37 users. That can fluctuate depending on what the actual employees are, right? We only pay for what we're using. If the employee leaves, they come off. The employee comes off, they add them on. So it's a fluctuating price, but that cost per is $164, and that's all in with the cloud hosting, service support, all the things that are listed here. So that's pretty much our end cost per user. And then we've got the imaging costs and the hosting fee that's $240 a month. So whatever that averages down per user. So we're basically looking at $164 per user plus a couple $100 a month for the hosting and basically the hosting. Yeah. But there's a one-time, which the other thing about LGS, several things about LGS. One is they got engineers on staff that came out of net data. So when we go through this data conversion, they're very proficient at it. They know how that data was written inside net data. So the transformation of the data is quick. They understand what they're doing. We're currently under agreement with Hill Country, which was bought out by LGS at our JP offices. All our JPs on Hill Country. As part of this agreement, Hill Country contract will go away. That agreement is basically superseded and put into this agreement. That's the reason, part of the reason the users have gone up in this, because we didn't have that initial evaluation. So the Hill Country will go away. Basically, LGS, if we do this, then it'll take care of county clerk, district court clerk, DA's office, the JP offices, and basically everything outside of law enforcement, and of course Treasury and Auditor's office. And that was part of the evaluation process also, is determining, looking down the road when we get to that point of bringing them in. They do offer as one of their sister companies on the back, I included it. There's a overview of a company that's one of their sister companies called Financial Intel, which is basically is the auditor and treasurer side of things. It includes HR type of functionality is included in those packages. That's for future growth. So it basically, as well as even the probation office, is operating under one of their umbrella companies. So it really brings us, if we were to select this at time, it brings us all into one system, except for eForce, except for that front end that we're working around. And everything else around across the county would be operating on this.
If we went with this company, what would be their, as far as line position and getting implemented?
Timeline, it's taken a lot of time to put this together. Right now, we're looking realistically the first of the year. Is what they told me yesterday.
first of the calendar year or?
Yes, ma'am.
Like October, the fiscal?
No, yes, ma'am, like January, one time frame.
Now, we're talking about the JPs converting. Will there be additional charges for that?
No, because they're already within the Hill Country system, so that's part of that. There's no additional charge on that because they're already in Hill Country, which is owned by them, so they're just gonna do that conversion. There won't be additional
The
cost.
monthly amount that we, or the, I think we pay annually actually for the JPs, will that still be the same?
No, it's gonna go to a per user, per this agreement, it'll go to a per user cost, which will be,
Eight,
yeah.
80 JPs, 2 per office. What's that in here?
That's about 31 plus the JP to make 37.
And those numbers can fluctuate. Really, you know, what we want to look at is that user cost. The IDOC, it did come in a little cheaper, but the way the bid came in, once again, there's a lot of background numbers because of data conversion and hosting fees and these kind of things that, you know, that's the reason I was asking for this roll-up sheet. IDOC, it came in, I didn't do a full roll-up on them, but they're probably a little bit cheaper, probably about $5 to $10 per seat cheaper once we roll everything up. But at the end of the day, their system's not able to support the district court clerk.
And their upfront cost, one-time cost was about 30,000 more.
Yeah, they're a little bit more on the data converter. That's why I'm saying you're kind of trying to get apples to apples, it becomes difficult. But once we found that they were going to fall out because they weren't going to be able to support, I just kind of said, okay, let's go and push the LGS. And it just makes sense to me because it puts us all under one umbrella. And it provides us room for future growth. I was thinking our district, oh, she's here? Yeah, okay, and Renee, we all were in agreement, which Renee, you're good with this, right?
Mhm.
District court clerk, you're good, right?
Yes, sir.
So, and the DA was good with it, and Misty's not here, but Misty, I talked to her this morning, she was good. So all the interested parties are in agreement.
Diane, can I ask you a question? So this price right here that we have, is that including the JPs?
That is in agreement based on the number of users.
Because I know we pay $3,000 right now per JP every year. It's almost $3,000, or not
Yeah.
$3,000. So that's $12,000. So
It's gonna be, this is gonna cost us a
it's
little
less.
more.
No, it's gonna be a little less.
Save us a little.
It's gonna be less.
If you're paying $165 per user, it's $330 a month.
8 users.
Oh, I did that too. It'll be about the same.
I was looking at the 6104 times 12, what it said per month. Total monthly cost is 6104, you multiply that by 12 and then you get the 73,000 or whatever. Net data is 65,000. I added up all of the fees that we pay for all of the departments.
I was just looking at the JP part of what I'm talking about.
Right. But the
Isn't it $3,000 a year?
for each one of them.
For each office, so
For
that's
each office.
12,000
Yeah.
a year. There's 8 users. Well, there's 2 users per
office.
precinct, yeah. Well, so there's 2, 4, 6, 8 users if you would,
Yeah.
over 4 offices.
I'm mainly just looking at the budgeting. How we would put that.
But there's a lot of functionality we're going to find is that the JP sat in on some of the, when we had our meetings, looked at some of it, but a lot of our scanning and type of things, those files that we're currently scanning, who's the vendor you're using?
Scanning on judicial,
Yeah,
that's us.
well, but on the,
We scan in-house.
but you're using a scanning vendor. What's the name of
The
that?
big project for our land records,
Yeah.
co-file.
Profile.
But that costs $200,000.
Anyway, this data, any of these scan type documents, once we have them scanned, will be uploaded and become integrated as part of the LGS system. So they'll be searchable within LGS, so we're not having to move through to, well, let me pull the records up over here, for the user of the system, they'll be able to just put in a key name, Wilson or whatever, and those documents should rise up for them. The connection point, from what I was talking to him yesterday, basically where our API interface is going to be at, is going to be at the bookend. Okay, so the API will pick up for this system at bookend, so it's going to capture all that data in the LGS system. eForce will be up to bookend. That data will be kind of correlated at that point, which is good according to some of the conversations I had this morning at district court.
And then something else to keep in mind is that eventually the bill for net data will go away once this is implemented, except for auditor and treasurer.
So I pulled the contract that we currently have with net data, went through it with Brian briefly, and it's going to be basically, they do we own that data, so they have to release it to us. We need to give them about a 90, I think it was a 90-day notice that we're moving away from their system. The thing that we need to consider from a budgetary standpoint, figure out, how we're going to work through that, is that net data is paid on an annualized basis, and it's going to become due September 1st for the year. This is going to be implemented, January, so we're mid-year. So what we can try to do is negotiate with net data to say, give them a heads up, listen, before we pay this bill, we're going to pay 6 months, say, and after that we'll go month to month with you, but this is notice of termination that we're going to be moving away from you.
Good luck.
It's not the best timing.
No, it's.
I don't know
I mean, eventually he'll cut it out, but it's.
Yeah, they're probably not. The big thing to me was the fact that you can, at bookend, it will populate all the other offices.
Yes, ma'am.
And nobody has to re-enter
Correct.
information.
That's the big
so
purpose of this whole thing, is everything will be tied together. And actually, if there's certain things that, we were talking this morning briefly up the district court office, is that like warrant information, warrant date, some of that type of data, if need be, in legal ability to access that data. Once we have that API in there, then we can map the fields out of eForce into that data. So if we get it, and we're going, this is great, but we're missing this one little thing, but it's in eForce. So we can write a program to connect that field and populate it over here.
I really don't know anything to ask. I mean,
Can we, the main thing is, can we get out of that contract with the one we're in? I mean, do we have to pay them all at one time? Or can we do monthly?
Currently, that data agreement's written on an annualized basis. That's what the way the contract was written, is that it's due September 1st of every annual, every year. Now, it's not saying we can't go in there, because that bill you're probably going to be receiving this month, and once we receive it, reach out to them, say, put them on notice that we're moving away, that we want to go ahead and just pay 6 months, and if we're not ready in 6 months, we go month to month. That would be my suggestion, to try anyway. Now, the LGS, the Hill Country contract, it's basically just a transfer, because they own Hill Country.
Yeah, we haven't explored the contract like that yet. We're hopeful about the case. Like there's only 3 options, right? One, you're gonna pay the whole year, and you're gonna have overlap. That's one. 2, they work with you and you pay month to month, they let us out. Or 3, and I don't know, this is the first time bringing this up, so I'm sorry, Dane, but we wait to roll out LGS until that contract's done. And we stay.
Yeah, because there is a clause in that agreement that's abandonment clause within the net data contract. So say, like what Brian's saying, we just pay the bill, because we all know how these things go. We're on target for January, it may roll another month or something. So at the point that if they don't see any activity in that system for, I believe it's like a 90 or 120 day window, then they automatically determine the system as abandoned. So at that point, you've abandoned the system, you still give them notice, but there's nothing due, and you just go on into the sunset, you know.
Well, when we're talking about the system, we will still be using some parts of the system.
Yeah, on those particular modules, yeah, with the treasurer and the
So
auditor.
they may not call it abandoned.
Well, that's a good point, yeah, because we're not gonna abandon the whole system, yeah.
Who would be the best person to negotiate that?
On the,
I can call, you know, again, I don't know, I've never dealt with a company like that, so I can't tell you what my prediction would be. I would bet that they want their money, right, paid upfront on the yearly
I
basis.
pretty much know what our predictions are.
Yeah, and so again, I think the commissioners, from a budget standpoint, have those options of, are you okay with an overlap? If we put LGS in, you know, we have that kind of overlapping months, or whether we want to tell LGS, hey, our contract with Net Data runs out on X date, and that's when we need to be rolling into LGS at that point in time and not have as big of an overlap. I don't know the IT part of that, right? So I don't know.
But that would really slow down the implementation of E-Force to do it like that.
Yes, sir, it would.
Well, we have to keep part of the contract going.
right,
So it's just a matter of, will they let us take those modules out after a certain period of time and get a reduced rate?
Yes, ma'am. And again, we haven't explored, we haven't had those conversations. We don't know how those conversations are gonna
And it can't
go.
hurt to ask.
Can't hurt to ask.
Judge Grant, when we bought the system, Dallas Osborne for Net Data was the person that negotiated all the sales contract, and I know he's still with them and over the sales, so that might be a question.
I've spoke to Dallas,
And, you
and
know,
so,
with us still using that data for some, maybe they will be a little more, yes.
And the other thing is Net Data doesn't offer what we would need for this E-Force.
they want to, Net Data approached this, Net Data came in and they were meeting up in the district court, I guess. I've been chasing salespeople, and I actually had spoke with Dallas, back when we started this process. Dallas basically had indicated that Net Data had obviously been sold when the owners died, when the other key members died, so it's kind of, but they were moving down this road to create these modules. This lady came in to visit, and she wanted to be on the bid, right? She's trying to save the account. And we entertained them to bid on it. But what they're doing is they're just trying to create a jury rig to get us through, and we're gonna be it's a road we don't want to go down. We're gonna be guinea pig.
Yeah, I mean, those are kind of the options from what I see. Ryan Evans' opinion is, you know, the quicker we get LGS, the better, right? So to make that very clear, like I said, E4's waiting on that. LGS, I think, is a better
it'll
system
dispatch
and what we're
operation.
going to. So again, my opinion is the faster the better, but just from a money standpoint, we don't know how exactly that's going to work out.
Now, one other, I want to bring this up to you guys, so you make note of it. There is one other associated cost with this, which is on the E-Force side, okay? Because E-Force is going to be sharing their API, giving that data key to, in this case, say LGS, $1,500 fee. So that will be additional cost, you know, $1,500
One time.
One time.
cost. So that's what we got. I think it's a good system from what I've seen. I think trying to get everybody on one page in agreement is a big hurdle. And a system that we can grow into countywide, potentially. Even if we choose not to use their FI system in the future for the county, for the auditor or treasurer's office, even though, say we say, listen, that's just not going to work for us, we're still going to have the ability, because of the technology that LGS is written on, to select another vendor out there. We'll have plenty of options, and it'll still be able to time enter an API. So it's not like we got to go with these people and do them. We'll have some flexibility there when we get to that point.
All right, so we're shooting for January, so that's when our monthly monthly fees will start probably
Correct.
around January.
Yeah, that's what I understand is that,
Okay.
yeah.
When
We'll start to work on those.
would we be paying it this calendar year for the 60,000 one time?
I had that.
We're talking about if we're gonna start, if we're gonna go ahead and pay this 60 within this budget, so.
From what from the conversation, and we can get I had this discussion yesterday, the way it was put to me was, we don't pay anything until we're up and we're live. That's when we pay, is what I was told.
Because we can't use,
And then that would be
Yeah, you
your-
can't use it,
your-
you're gonna be charged.
you can't use, yeah, you can't use county funds unless you've already got the,
Yes, what's that?
This is your
system
yearly.
going.
Ain't paid for it till you get it.
That's
You
right,
got the-
kind of like us.
That is this we're figuring. That's what that.
37, yes, the 6104 per month, would be 73,000 for you.
But there is a lot of work, obviously, we got to reach out to that data, retrieve the data, got to go through the data conversion, we got to get API with Airport, Force, get those linked. So there's going to be a lot of work taking place between, if this is way upside, if it's acceptable, between now and January, right? We're going to start, as soon as this is signed, I'll get it back to them, and we're going to start the process of starting.
Is this data conversion gonna cost us some money too?
It's built in here, as far as, all that data will be converted.
It's in the one-time cost that we were talking about, $60,582. Conversion, setup, training, and the interface.
We'll only have about 6 months in the next budget, so that's what.
Right.
And I think Karen's got all the paperwork, 1295, I think, as far as contract, and y'all got a copy of the contract that's attached there. I believe Karen's got all the required documents if y'all so choose to move forward.
The initial amount is 65,000 rounded off, and then, it'll be 75,000 annually, which will be for about half a year, since we don't start till about January, so we'll be about 5,000.
Not yet.
What else?
I'll make a motion to accept the LGS bid for the Freestone County Judicial County Management Software.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Item number 12, is a resolution amending authorized representatives. I'm way on down there. Item number 10, the open bids for medical insurance. We have one? We do. The first one is
is United Healthcare. That would be our renewal.
United Healthcare.
Yes, and the second one is Curative. Curative, Curative. We had them last time, and they were pretty good. This is a different, this is different. Oh, these are, she told me the curative was what is it? The curative also is, so it looks like we have a few different, for our supplements, like the life and accidental death, dental vision, short-term disability. This one is from, it looks like Equitable, for our supplementals. And then Guardian is the next one. And looks like 3. So you've got, so it looks like there's 6 here. One is Sun Life, one is Equitable, one is Guardian, one is MetLife, one is Mutual of Omaha, and one is Principal. That's for all the little supplementals that we have.
What was the first one?
Sun Life.
Equitable, Guardian, MetLife, Mutual of Omaha.
Yes. Principal. Principal.
Principal.
Principal.
All of those are supplements.
Yes.
So we had 2 for our actual healthcare, United and Curative. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We will then, give those to our broker, and he will, review all those and then bring us our options. Any discussion?
Has everybody been pretty happy with what we went with? There's a few kinks on some drugs, but other than that, all that out of pocket stuff worked out just like they promised. Because I had, it's all worked out.
Well, I think that our, there have been some people that
Some of the drugs.
had issues getting that worked out.
Certain drugs approved, they finally got it done, but it took a while.
I think, for the most part, everybody was extremely happy about not having to pay anything.
Yeah.
And so that was a really big plus for our employees.
So it looks like for our medical, we've got Curative or the United Healthcare renewal that they proposed.
And then there's all those other stuff.
Yes.
We have had, I know, a lot of claims for this year. For what I'm hearing is, isn't that what you're hearing? All of it.
I was one of them.
And aren't you glad you had it?
Well, that's what it's for.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And we will, put those on the next agenda. So do we have a motion to table?
Okay. Second.
All in favor, aye. Carried. And then he will bring that to us next week. Item number 11 is to discuss the purchase of a mower max brush cutter in the amount of $281,927.25 using the ARPA grant funds for Road and Bridge 2.
Through by board. If we'll tack those two words on, through by board.
That's a lot of money, but I got 3 prices from other modified tractors like we all got now. And they went from 204 to 219 standard with the boom. This steel here is a machine made for trip. That's what it's designed, made for. The boom's 24 foot. I talked to 3 counties. I talked to Fortman County, Brazos County, Parker County. They've got them. They said they've never owned another tractor. Maintenance on them. I mean, they're loving them. It's got a lot more attachments that are out there. And in this price, I added 2 attachments. One's a grapple on the front, where one we won't have to have a second piece of equipment. The other is a saw blade, 48-inch blade, 4-foot blade. And my goal is to, instead of these tree guys, these dead trees, I think I can take care of them myself with this blade. And plus cut bigger limbs too. But I'm hoping this is going to help relieve some of that expense on these contract tree controllers. And we take care of ourselves. And like I say, I went to Tarrant
And you don't
County.
have to wait, you can do it right.
And I went to Tarrant County, and they did a demonstration, and I watched them, and then I ran it. I tried to do all my due diligence, my homework on this field, because that's a lot of money. But after seeing it and operating it, it's just, it's made for this. And like I say, all those 3 counties said they're going to replace, some of them have, they're going to all replace their tractors with this. So, and it comes with, there's some other attachments that come with it, but that I didn't draw a line on this. I did that one, I added those 2, and that drove the cost up, because the base is $235. So it was basically about $15,000 to $20,000 higher than the modified tractors. You can compare apples to apples. If I just got the base model, it's about $20,000 more, but I went ahead and added the attachments, because I figured I needed it to make it all work out right.
And I've ran that through by board, and I have all the paperwork from them, all the ARPA documents from the vendor that are required. So all the things, all we need is approval.
Yeah.
And which buy board is it?
It is the buy board, just the buy board. That's the buy board.
The worst thing is 120-day build. That's what it is. I gotta get the ball rolling. I need to work it down.
We have a motion to purchase the Mower Max brush cutter in the amount of $231,927.25 using ARPA grant funds through the buy board. Precinct 2.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. All right, item number 12 is a resolution amending the authorized representatives for tech school.
So basically what this is to get Holly added on to the tech pool, so she'll have her own login. Karen and I are already on there. They're gonna go ahead and keep me on there until I leave. And then at that time, you don't have to do this again. They'll just have a paper that deletes me off. So then I'll have Holly and Karen on it. Once I'm replaced and you bring somebody in, then you'll have to do this resolution once again to get that person put on there. That's just part of their procedure of getting someone put on, because the text pool, you have to have your own login.
We definitely need to work on the first one.
Yes, for sure.
For sure.
And we have always had, Karen and I both have always been on there, so.
She's done it, but, I could if I needed to.
I make a motion to put Holly on.
I second.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None, motion carried. 13. Since Jeannie is leaving us, we need a committee administrator for the sick leave pool. Right now, we have Dan Austin as the elected official, Hannah Hale is the jail representative, Renee Reynolds, courthouse representative, Willie Swain, road and bridge representative, and we need one more person for the committee administrator.
Per the sick leave policy, it kind of governs what the administrator is allowed to know and do, and that's the only person that can know who it is, how much time they have. I mean, there's definite specs in our policy that says what that person has to know, and they can be the only one to know that information. And so in the past, it's been someone in my office, because we are the time accounting person to know the time, and also we deal with FMLA, which if they're gonna be on the sick pool leave, it pretty much runs hand in hand that you're gonna have to have them on FMLA. So just for y'all to know
Well, it
that
looks like it's gonna come out of your office.
that's how it's been in the past, but
So nominate Holly.
We can either go ahead and put Miss Holly on there, or we can wait until we see who our new treasurer is going to be. Would you mind being in that spot until we get another one, or would you just mind being in that spot permanently?
Either way, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I second
Is
your
that a
motion.
motion?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Item number 14 is the Otis elevator contract extension. They are giving us, says accordingly, you will receive a credit on your account for 1 month of free maintenance service.
Nice.
And the term of your contract will be extended for 5 years.
And I have the $12.95.
Does it say how much a year it is? Or just how much they tell us we have to pay?
Yes, I don't have it.
We don't know if it went up.
I'm not looking at it. Do you have something?
It doesn't have that on here. But I think before we just had a contract and they have periodically increased.
I think the contract says that they can periodically increase it, you know, as each year goes up, and it does go up some.
Okay.
I don't know what it called.
Do you have the actual contract?
I can go and see, I can go look at the file and see. But the file is, you know, it's probably several years ago, and so I can go look at the numbers of what we're paying right now.
I'll tell you what, let's table this to
Okay.
this next one. And then you can, is that a motion to table?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. All right, we'll go to item number 15, to discuss hiring to replace a retiring records clerk in the sheriff's office. And what this is, he only has a position for one records clerk. He would like to go ahead and hire a new records clerk and keep the one that he has for a couple of months until she retires.
Yes, our records clerk's gonna be leaving probably in September. Her last official day will probably be around October time. But I'd like to get somebody in there so she can train them, because she's the only one that's been doing this for years.
Yeah.
And, you know, outside of, you know, it's really more than a one-person gig. But when she gets too far behind, we just spill it over, and some of the other ladies try to help out where they can, what they understand and can do. But I would really like to get someone in there for her to start training, if possible, if I can. I don't know, you know, what the chances are of that, but I'd like to at least have the opportunity to be able to get somebody in there where she can start teaching them kind of what to do, how to do it. They also are gonna have to go to some training on the Information Act and stuff, so, and I believe we've got enough money in there, because I haven't hired in the two dispatch positions for this year anyway, to pay somebody to do that if I can get one hired. I just don't have a position to do that, so I'm asking y'all to provide a position for now to try to get someone in there to start learning.
So
When
you're
she leaves-
hiring.
When she
hiring a
leaves, I'll
permanent-
still only have one.
Hiring a permanent records clerk, and then the one you have now is just remainder, say for 2 or 3 months. And then,
You what?
for 2 or 3 months, that you'll still have the one that you have now.
The one I have now is leaving in September. Her last days will pretty much be in September. Yeah, I don't have
Okay,
long.
this
That's-
is July, so it'd be
Yes.
2.5. excuse
Yeah,
me.
so that's why I'm trying to get somebody, if possible, in there.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 16 is to discuss receiving monthly reports on money received. I know that, is Teresa still here?
I'm here.
I see you, basically,
Yeah, I'm here.
barely behind you. Well, she is working on it. I think it hadn't been reconciled since the beginning of time, and so she's getting all the records out, and we've been I've been kind of looking at it as she's doing it, and she is working on trying to get that to where it balances with the bank statement. Do you want to say anything else about it?
No, that's all.
It's not totally balanced yet, but she is working on it.
So we just table it.
Motion to table.
Well, that would just be next week. Let's wait maybe 2 more times, and then we'll put it on this. She may have to go to the bank to get some old records and things too, so. Just wanted you to know we haven't just dropped it off. It's a big deal.
How far, just curious, how far you have to go back?
Well, way back,
Oh, okay.
just to be sure. you
Yeah,
know,
I understand,
yeah,
I understand.
yeah. So I've got to locate some old things that my,
Way's a pretty good bit of time, that's way back. All right, I was just curious.
All right. We'll go to item number 17, which is security cameras for the new tax office.
We had a gentleman come in a month, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, make a presentation on security cameras. This is a proposal around the system. We went back and forth, we went, got a quote all in with doors and such, and started getting a little pricier than what we thought it might be needed. And I know, Dan, you've had some discussion, I think, around this. So what we've done is we scaled it back. The system will include 4 cameras outside, 2 cameras inside, 1 in his locked room, and 1 out in the lobby area pointed down the front door. There'll be window brake sensors on there. There is an alarm contract. Currently, Larry watches all of our cameras out of his office, but when Larry leaves out of here at 5 o'clock, we're pretty much, I'm sure they're watching it from the jail, wherever, but anyway, there is a 24-hour security around this. There'll be a motion detector on the inside of the building, so if anybody was to breach inside, the cameras outside will actually have a sensor that we can turn on so we can pick up motion detection outside the building. There's also panic buttons that are included in the system. So that will hit the alarm as well as sending it back to dispatch to Larry where we want it directed. As y'all recall, in that system, the system operates in a cloud-based environment, so it gets away from the NVR, which is what we've historically used here. So we can assign whoever we want within our security response to have access to those cameras. So that Dan may want, right, he'll have access to view his building 24 hours a day anywhere in the world, as well as, say, the sheriff or Larry or whoever's assigned to that. So this is the proposal. This is basically all in with the off install. The equipment's Verkada and 10-year warranty on the equipment, all in. No service fees, anything, right? Once we pay this price, if it's chosen to, that price is covering a 5-year contract. So once this price is buying all the equipment, 5-year contract on monitoring, 5-year contract on there's the alarm license. And then that's a 5-year on the camera license, and that's accessing it through the cloud. There's a warranty of 10 years on the equipment. So when we get to that 5 years, we want to extend it, we keep that same equipment, if everything, technology's still there, and carry on how we want to. If we decide that we like this system and want to, because there's other security needs throughout the county that are being identified, because of this 5-year deal, the way that this works is we buy it and say it goes into effect September 1st. And say come January, we've identified another facility that we want to bring into the system. They're basically bringing that older contract up to that period of the new contract, okay? So we just picked up 6 months of added time to the expiration. It's just kind of a feature at no cost. So we really got 5.5 years out of the 5-year contract if we were to elect other one to install in another building. So I think based on this, you know, we've got a lot of systems throughout the county that, you know, we do have panic buttons, we have door lock systems. The door lock systems we did have in this knocked about $10,000 off of it. These door locking systems are falling out of warranty and getting expensive because they're out of maintenance contract. I pulled out last year, 2023, I think we spent, sort of call around $8,600 just on fixing what we have, and then it's broken again. Right, so.
Yeah, they've been here twice for nothing.
Yeah, so it's getting to the point that this is a newer technology. It just makes a cleaner connection point. So in certain facilities, we probably are, you know, going to want locking mechanisms like at the deputy's office. In certain buildings, according to Dan, you're okay without. You got your locks on there, obviously, but it won't be a controlled access pod lock per se. But
That's
there'll still
correct.
be security on the building.
I don't need those.
It still started out at that 5-year contract for just that one commercial front door at $17,233 a month. It had those other 3 doors in the back, which are not commercial. It bumped it up to $26,900. And then taking that off, that's what got us back down to $13.97.
Basically went back and just told them to remove all the door locks. Once Dan was good with not having it, so what we basically did is just removed all the locks off all doors. We'll have locks on doors, but, so it includes, it's stated here, panic buttons, vibrating sensors on the window. If somebody comes and throws a rock through the window or something like that, there's sensors in the camera. Well, there's sensors on the window, they're picked up by the cameras and it sends out an alarm. Pretty good system, I think. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with what they got to offer.
Just the only company you talked to?
I spoke to a couple of different companies, but this is the only one that I found. Of course, it's hard down here to find different vendors, but this was what I was looking for, kind of like what we're looking at in our computer systems, where they're all working in one system. This system allows us to have all these security points where there's doors, panic buttons, alarms, 24-hour monitoring, alarm systems, all these different things through what we call one pane of glass. Okay, so we're not monitoring 2 or 3 different systems or having to deal with 2 or 3 different vendors. And say from Larry, which Larry I would suspect is going to be the heaviest user of this, as the implementation takes place, Larry will be able to monitor and control everything through one pane of glass, whether it's doors, you know, monitoring alarms, cameras, panic buttons, etc. And that was a big selling point on the system.
And the service
And
side
the
of
10
this, the company's out of Buffalo, Fremont Gill, or for this company, the contract would be with this out of Irving.
They are
Monty's gonna service.
Monty's employed by them. I mean, that's, you're serving right there in Buffalo. I mean, that's a local, yeah.
Monty will do the install. The equipment is Verkada equipment. It's where the warranties, but NES is a licensed reseller. It's the way they sell the product. Verkada doesn't sell direct to the public. They use distributors. They're a licensed distributor for Verkada, and that's the purpose for them.
I did talk to the IT at Buffalo ISD. I talked with the head of security in Buffalo. Of facilities dealt with other stuff, the city uses it down there, so, they got highly recommended, the equipment and the NES. This package, you think would be good for your office, Dan?
I do.
Okay. I'll make a motion to go with this NES. And then, oh, Karen, we do have a $12.95.
We did,
And do we need Brian to approve the contract behind it?
he's already looked at it.
What we're gonna do is, we spoke about it right before Commissioners Court, and Brian was looking, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
What we're gonna do is, we're gonna take, because there's general terms and conditions, it's with it, which is attached there. What I'm gonna do is, I'll have some correspondence, because it's not a contract, it's a bid, because it's like a purchase, or I would purchase and license and equipment, but for our needs, we need to have some signature lines and just an agreement in place. So I'll have some correspondence that will give the concurrence that these are the terms and conditions we're going to.
I think it's important to get the ball rolling on this to get the security of that office before we start using it.
Once we get this done and we're moving ahead, I would expect we'll have equipment probably install the camera. Well, now that we're not doing the doors, most of it should probably be installed within 2 to 3 weeks. We should be live.
So can we make a motion to approve this? Does it need to be contingent on anything?
I mean, he's just gonna get a confirmation on an email that says that they are agreement to the terms they have given us.
I'll do that before I request the signature on the agreement. I had that in the current paperwork.
To make a motion.
Yes, make a motion that we use NES Solutions based off this estimate of $13,927.72 for a 5-year agreement for security for the tax office.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carried. Item number 18, Pitney Bowes lease agreement for a mail machine for the new tax office.
I've been in contact with Pitney Bowes for a postage machine for our office now that we're a little bit more off-site than we were before. And I do not have a $12.95 from them yet, so I think it'd probably be best to table it until the next meeting, and hopefully I'll have that from them, and I can give you all the particulars.
Tell me that last part again.
I don't have a $12.95 from them, so we can't take any action from what I'm understanding.
And then what information have they given you as to the cost or anything? You know
Okay.
that?
Sure. It's $136.34 a month, which is quite a bit less than what I understand the courthouse is paying for Pitney Bowes machine here. It's a lot more basic. It's their most basic automated machine. It's a 5-year contract, but I think we have good for our office. Will serve our needs, and we have quite a bit of mail. There's just about a full mail tray every day. I need to kind of see where all that's coming from. It's just various things, all the renewals, requests for information, checks that I mail, reports that have to go out to the entities. It's just
I know
a lot of mail.
Your budget,
Sir?
30,000, 25,000, your postage, gives them tax off.
Correct.
It's on the budget.
Yes. A lot of that's our big mailings that are done by the off-site facilities. They bill for that. But, yeah, postage is another thing I'll just talk about at some point.
And it's gonna go up.
It needs to. I was just looking, I got $500 till the rest of the year.
Well, I think you meant the postage is going up.
Yeah, postage.
No, 7%, yes. When I made my budget, when I filled this budget request out 2 months ago, that was before I knew it was going up 7%.
Do we need a motion to table?
Yeah.
I'll make a
Second.
Thank y'all, hopefully by next week I'll.
Do we know when y'all will be moving down there in your building? When y'all actually be moving in?
Yes, sir, we're there. The problem is the DMV has a dedicated fiber circuit that was initiated to be installed. They started the process in March. And about a month ago, Windstream, 3 trucks, 3 or 4 guys, worked on our building, hooked the fiber up. We got a router, it blinks, pretty blue light, or pretty green lights, connected to a DMV router that I got by mail. We got over there and we're not connected to Austin. And so we're kind of in a gray zone of trying to get AT&T and Windstream to finish up their tickets. I've got a completion date. As of yesterday, they're saying August 6th to get our DMV live with Austin. We're still live in our old building, so when I figured this out after our move last week, that we weren't having connectivity, it was suggested to me, and I made the rash decision to move some machines back to our old existing office so we can serve the public. And so I've got half the staff over there doing that, and the other half in our current building. So we're split. It's a headache right
And
now.
that's
but-
holding up our contractors for the remodel of the federal building for dispatch deputies.
And apparently it takes 4 to 6 months to get fiber line installed, and the DMV admittedly did not quite realize it was going to be that long. I just made an assumption by the time the router was hooked up that we were good to go, but we weren't, so that's where we are right now.
According to, and I've been working with Dan on this, I went down to the engineering, Windstream Engineering yesterday, and met with Terry Knight, a couple of guys down there trying to get some resolve. And Windstream's got good endpoint-to-endpoint connection. AT&T seems to be good. The problem is it's gone back to the connections are good. The AT&T's having to go back to the engineering department to get, as Dan said, from Fairfield, from his office back to Austin. So the system, that loop is in there. We were looking at the point, right? So we're hot, everything's hot, and just this stretch there that, you know, Dan and I have been pulling our hair out.
He was glad.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really not on the agenda, but I just don't know where we're at. So.
But with this said, I think this is a good heads up to what, and I don't know exactly where we're at. I'm kind of out of the loop a little bit on the dispatch operation system, which I know we're going to have an AT&T circuit, dedicated circuit coming into that building there for the hot coffee stuff. AT&T's over there setting equipment, but I don't know, because it's out of our realm, when hot coffee is actually ordering that AT&T ticket for that connection. But once it's ordered, it's taken 4 to 6 months for this process.
I originally was told to be 90 days.
So if we're going to try to fire that up in January over there, we probably need to be talking to hot coffee about getting that circuit ordered, so we're ahead of schedule maybe.
Well, let me ask you this, I don't know what all that looks like, so I'm just asking.
Sure.
Is there any way that you could move that over to one part of the building so they can go in and do the dispatch side?
Well, I didn't, this first I've heard that we're holding them up. I don't know what all construction.
Well, no, I held them up because number one, I didn't know it's going to be that long until we talked about it yesterday.
I mean, if somebody needs to start doing some construction, I think we could work around it. Yes, we have, what's over there is 2 very basic terminals. I mean, not very much
I was gonna say, if we
equipment.
could
It
just
could be
get
plugged
the
in somewhere
rest
else.
stud walls put up and tied into the ceiling so that the electricians can come in and run. Because I know there's gonna be some additional certain colored Cat 6 wires that have to go in from the tower.
We've already been working around, you know, a little bit of construction,
Yeah,
and so I'm perfectly fine
Right,
going
thank you.
forward. We'll try to stay out of the way, especially.
Well, so I know if we need tags, I go over there.
Correct, yes. The public needs to know that
Because I need.
that's all they can do is auto renewals and titles, all that's there, and then anything property tax related is at our facility.
Good, thank you. Maybe we can do that and get that dispatch moving. All right, let's let's go to item number 19. I think in your book, you'll see that there is an amended one. Now, let me ask you this. I know you are keeping a list of all of these road use agreements that come in.
Yes.
Would it be beneficial to have a permit number?
Yes. And the county and the road number on there also.
Okay, and we could.
So we need to make a list of roads.
Okay, so we'll put another line that says road numbers. And then it to have the application date and the expiration date on here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Of course, if you just had the application date, you know it's gonna expire in 2 years.
Okay.
So either way on that.
Yeah.
But anything else that would be helpful for you to be able to search them?
Trying to come up with a new system. I'm not real crazy about the system that we have because we're in folders and we do have an index. But, you know, if Andy came in and said, I want to look at a permit on county road, and then some random number he throws out there, we kind of have to go through the
Manually?
folders and hunt and find.
Well, if you did something
Done.
like, just like an Excel spreadsheet, you could search by numbers that way.
Yeah.
Very easily.
That, and I would like to get them scanned in to where, I mean, it's automatic, you can put that in, put the number, the permit number or whatever, and it'll pop up.
Just that oil field story, that folder, that, it's a lot of them.
Yeah.
But that's just how they've always done it. In a folder, and it's by year. And it's just a list. And so, well, if, like I say, if he comes in, we have to go to that folder, and then go to the next folder, and go to the next, you know.
There is a way that you can put it on the computer so you can easily search that. There is, we can talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, on these road use agreements, we've changed, we are doing it under section 251.151 of the Texas Code, Transportation Code. And under that, there is no limitation of time. So we do have on the back that shows that it's good for 2 years unless the applicant submits a letter acknowledging which roads are still being covered by the bond, and it needs to be updated, or we can do that, but 2 years.
Good.
We can extend it if we need to, so. And if you want to use, I mean, this is, other than a couple little
But
changes to show.
This transportation code, it gives us the authority to require a permit.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that we could force one, a road use, we can force a road use agreement.
Well, I have to read that to
You know what I mean, you know what I mean? I was
Yes.
understanding,
It's-
in our meetings, we
it
go
is.
to, they said we couldn't force
Our old
one.
one said the same thing, it says, because under the old one, which was the
Yeah.
623018 of the Texas Transportation Code, it gives the county authority to require a permit to use county roads and bridges. What's different is the language is, this is just strictly by weight.
Yeah.
And on the 251, it basically says heavy, oversized equipment.
Yes, it does. It's a little more broad.
A little broader.
Yeah.
I just, thinking in those meetings that they told us we couldn't.
Now, you can't require a permit for a road bore, but under this 251, it says it gives us the authority to require a permit to use the county roads and bridges. If they're on the road and they tear the road up, even if you don't have an agreement, you can make them pay to repair it by the statute. So do you want to look at these for a little while longer and approve them next time, or
We need to add that, what you said a while ago.
just road numbers, that's all?
And a listing for the road. You said it's not a page on for this.
Say that
A
again?
listing for the roads. You said you were gonna have a sheet.
I'll just put in a line that said road numbers that it covers. I'm just gonna put that line in here. Maybe take out that expiration date and let it say road numbers, so they'll write the numbers right there. But doing the Excel so you can search it, that's just a computer program, the way you put it in.
If I've got 9 right now, they're gonna use, that line will be long enough for 9 roads. It's gonna have 1 permit for 9 roads.
If you write it right, yeah. No, I'll put a long,
No, see what I'm
I'll put a
saying?
line, yes, a long line.
I got 11.
Yeah, I got 11, I got 9. We've got 2.
They're up to,
And I got a company wanting, I was hoping we could get something done on this today because the company wanted to go talk about what roads they're gonna use and what their bond will be.
well, let's, we just approve the subject that change you penciled in.
Yes, with that change, that, just that one change to add a line for road numbers.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
All in favor, aye.
aye.
And I'll make 2 long lines, so that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We'll have one bond for all the roads
Well, it'll
that they're gonna use.
depend on how you do the agreement at the time, sometimes it might be different. If it's gonna be a bond for 5 roads, you put all 5 road numbers. If it's only a bond for 1 number, you just put that 1 road number. Like you
They
had
might get a
10.
bond on different roads and then do 2 different road use agreements.
Yeah. Item number 20, we're not ready on the subdivisions yet. Let's take a short break. And then you have,